This is Swarfcast. I'm Noah Graff. I am very honored to be with Howard Sheldon, Managing Director and owner of Sheldon Precision Engineering in Barnstaple, England. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
This is great. I encountered Howard on LinkedIn. He's very prolific there. And I'm always looking for people out there that seem very engaged in the industry. And so I could tell that he was somebody I needed to meet. So just to get started, I want to give people like the real quick overview of your company, and then I'm gonna go into your story, and then we'll tie it all up together. So just tell me really quickly, what is Sheldon Precision Engineering?
We're a subcontract CNC turning company, and we supply a wide range of industries. We haven't pigeonholed ourselves into any particular industry. And we've currently got a headcount of 7. We coming up to this June, 10-year anniversary. I founded the company in 2014. And we're doing very well. We're growing and going from strength to strength.
So, and you mainly run Swiss machines?
We do. We've got Citizen sliding head machines. We've also got a Miano, which is sold by Citizen UK.
So you started the company 10 years ago, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. And before that, you worked in manufacturing also, and you had some other entrepreneurial pursuits?
Yeah, so I've been in manufacturing my whole life. I started at my father's business straight out of college. And I'd been working for him in the summer holidays. You know, there was no way my dad was going to let me laze around for 6 weeks in a summer holiday. It was always like, right.
What was he making? What was the product?
So they were a subcontract machine shop as well. They had at their peak 24 Wickmans.
Wickmans,
me.
that's what we, that's what our business is based on, or has been. Yeah. Wickman 6 spindles, or?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I nearly started with those actually, because I offered to buy them off my father because they were shrinking. The section was shrinking, and basically they were down to about, I can't remember now, maybe 6. And I was like, well, look, if you don't want them, maybe I'll have them.
You can make a bunch of money with some Wickmans.
Yeah, and I'll have like a turnkey business. I'll have customers, and I'll be off, straight away. And then it was kind of going ahead. I looked at a unit next door, and it was all going ahead. And then all of a sudden, there was like this Eurozone crisis. He's like, no, that's it. I'm pulling out. You're going to need loads of help, and this is just not the right time, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, for God's sake. For me, that was like...
All right, rewind. We'll get back up to that part. Okay.
Oh,
okay. So you were growing up, your father had a company with multi-spindle screw machines. What else did they have?
Well, let me... They started in London. It's actually my grandfather's business, and it was called Wembley Screw Company.
Cool.
And that started in like 1950 something, 1953, I think. And then they wanted to expand the factory, but the land was owned by the rail company, and they weren't allowed. And then at the time, there was regional growth funds available for people to relocate to poorer areas of the country to try and stimulate growth. So they had a few options. I think it was Scotland, Wales, and North Devon, which is where they ended up. So my father moved the business down to Sleepy Devon, which is known for its tourism, not for its manufacturing back then.
Okay, but it's pleasant because it's known for tourism.
It's beautiful. Yeah, people come here for holidays. So
nice.
So they moved it down. My father started running the business, and long story short, he ended up buying the business off my grandfather, and only because he found out his dad had put it up for sale behind his back. So it got a bit messy. This happened over a few years. So my dad started up a business in secret away from his father, which was manufacturing.
You British people, you're very secret. You guys, you're very. This is why you guys are spies.
Yeah, come on.
Hey, I'll let you talk. Forget about my stereotypes. We can talk about that another time. Okay. Yeah. So that is really interesting. So your dad had started another business in secret while he was working in your grandfather's business, and your grandfather was trying to sell it behind your father's back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it sounds like their relationship left a little something to be desired.
Yeah. I don't know the ins and outs of the whole story, but there was one year they sat down with the accountant and they said, oh, you know, Ian, my dad, he's done very well this year. I think he should maybe be given a bonus or some shares. And it was agreed that he would have some shares, and it never happened. And my dad thought he had shares, but his father didn't do it. And it all got, it got a bit messy. But
okay, so your father bought the business. When was this? About the 70s?
Yeah. No, it was a bit later than that. It was 1986.
1986. Okay. And you guys are making precision parts for what, automotive or for?
Well, interestingly, they had, when I was there, they had loads of Brown Sharps. So double O, the 2Bs, the bigger ones. And for years they were bar turning the, have you heard of the Jubilee hose clip?
No.
So it's a well-known British top quality hose clip.
Okay.
Hose clip. So a band with a screw that clamps a hose on a fitting, and basically they're making thousands of these on the Brown Sharps. So my dad developed the cold formed screw, and they've been manufacturing it ever since in this way. So it's cold formed blank out of wire, and then they're thread rolled and slotted.
And they put the blanks in the Brown and Sharp?
No, so the Brown and Sharps became defunct because the productivity of the cold forming machine, they were knocking out blanks 2 or 3 per second, you know, from the wire. And then they were just rolled and then slotted. So that the Brown and Sharp machines pivoted onto, he had a big contract with Hoover at the time, who make vacuum cleaners, and that was a big business for them. So they had hydraulics mostly made on the Wickmans, hydraulic fittings for various UK companies, and he then got into CNC machines. So I started off with some single spindle. We had a Winchester, which was a turret CNC machine with slides, so a bit like a Cam Auto, but CNC. And then Rob, Mazaks. And then got heavily into the Citizens. And then got heavily into the Index multi-spindles.
Really? Index multi-spindles?
Yeah, for sure.
So what years are we talking?
The CNC started early 2000s. So, I think it would have been around that time that he bought the first Index multi-spindle.
What do you have, like MS-32B?
Yeah, MS-32. We had an MS-40 at one point, which was absolute beast. Yeah, I mean, that was munching through stainless steel like you won't believe, you know, like 10 ton a week. It was crazy because they got heavily into automotive.
Oh, I didn't realize that your father's company was running indexes. Wow, this was a big shop.
Yeah. They went up to in the 60s in terms of head count. It's less now, because back in the day, all the parts coming off the Wickmans, you'd have to deburr them on the pillar drill. So you'd have the Ubamas doing second op operations, and all that sort of meant you needed a bigger workforce. But
sure.
Yeah, they're down to about 30 people now.
Okay,
but they've just indexed.
They're down to 530 people, you said?
25 to 30.
Oh, 25 to 30. I was like, whoa, this is a huge company that you came out of. Bad sound on the riverside. Okay, so you came up in this. Very interesting. So you're definitely. It sounds like you learned how to run screw machines. You're technically adept.
Yeah, well, I started off in maintenance to start with, because my dad thought that would give me a good intro to all the departments. And then I did a CNC course at the local college, learning basic programming. My first taste of machining was on a Wickman presetter. So it was a Wickman with a CNC control on it. You didn't have to change the gears.
Okay.
You could program in the RPM.
When was what years are we talking here?
Oh crikey, that would have been late 90s, I think. I'm not too sure, but
so it was one of those ones that are rebuilt with the variable feeds and speed motors. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. So that was my first taste. I nearly trashed that machine, but it actually turned out to be a fault of the machine. The bar fed out into the pick-off unit and then indexed. So it ripped off the pick-off unit and made a right mess. But the machine shouldn't have been able to do that. There's switches on the machine that should have prevented it from doing it. So it wasn't completely my fault, but yeah, that was a learning curve and a bad day. But
okay, so all right, so you're coming up in your father's shop. It seems like you enjoy manufacturing. Pretty much seem like you were like, yeah, one day I'm gonna take this business over. Was that kind of like you were trying to think of a plan for yourself, and that was what you figured you were gonna do?
Yeah, that was the dream.
Were you excited about that dream? Was that like the thing that you really wanted to do? Like you were just...
Yeah. That doesn't happen straight away. It takes time to build the love for the industry, for sure. But I think it certainly grew in me, and as I sort of got older, it was definitely what I wanted to do and what I hoped would happen.
Yeah.
But obviously that didn't work out.
So tell. All right, we're all on the edge of our seat here. How did it go down? How did it not work out?
Well, my father was not one to plan his exit. He was living week to week. I don't think he could bear the thought of not working. Mm-hmm. He'd worked his whole life in this industry, and I just don't think he wanted to retire. So as you can imagine, he's here running the company, and I'm coming up. Mm-hmm. What happens is you end up banging into each other on the way up, and that's pretty much what happened. As I got older, and I wanted
he wouldn't be okay with just kind of like one is the president and one is the CEO, and you kind of divide and conquer. That wasn't his thing.
No, he hated job titles and that sort of thing, and I mean, he gave me responsibility within the company. Production management, purchasing. I had.
But he didn't want to sell it to you.
No, I guess it's complicated when you've got 5 sisters like me as well, because this day and age, it doesn't automatically just go to the oldest son and things like that. That's an old sort of. I think it still happens in the farming community, but not in.
That might have made it actually simpler if you could have done that.
Well, yeah.
So, okay. So, and granted, we have to remember where he's coming from. He's coming from, if you want to get all shrink about this, he's coming from a father who tried to sell a business out from under him.
Yeah, he was very much you want it, you take it sort of thing. I didn't really have the experience or the resources to figure that out at the time. Very hard person to work with. Very, very, very passionate. He's sort of a mixture between Alan Sugar and Gordon Ramsay. Both very strong figures. One loves effing and jeffing. And, it made me who I am today, but it wasn't easy working for him. And it became just difficult. We kept falling out, basically. We kept falling out. Oh. And it wasn't our relationship. So eventually I left. And then I went and did, I wanted to do something completely different. So I'd always been interested in marketing. So I tried to get into marketing roles. And then I I went to a franchise exhibition. And,
so you totally left the company and you were just like, all right, I'm going to, learn something else, get another job somewhere else.
Yeah, I felt like a change. But when you're putting your CV into marketing companies and it's all manufacturing, they're like, oh, this guy's having a midlife crisis. We're not going to even interview him. So I started thinking about business, and then I ended up going to the franchise exhibition and getting some good ideas from there. I ended up setting up a home tutoring agency. So I hired teachers on a self-employed basis, set up a website with a booking system, and I started marketing and providing tutors on a one-to-one basis for students doing GCSEs or A-levels or whatever.
That's really interesting. Did you have a tutor when you were growing up?
No, I didn't. No.
Okay.
But I knew that the value, because obviously you've got your state school, then you've got your private school. There's such a big difference, and that gap can be filled by a student, absolutely. And I use that for my own children. If there was a particular subject that they were struggling in, I could get them an English or a maths tutor.
Yeah.
And you can get them.
No, I mean, I had that for myself as well growing up. I had a lot of tutoring. So then what happened with that?
So that grew locally, and then I tried to expand it into neighboring counties. And it just became really difficult. It worked very, very locally where I was. It worked really well. It was grown to a good size, but I just had real trouble getting it to work nationwide. And also, I was making like £5 on every lesson. And when you think,
that doesn't sound like much.
Yeah. How many lessons a week do you have to do because the problem is they're only having 1 hour a week. Typically you'll have an hour tutor once a week. So
yeah, no, it sounds like a difficult business. So then how long did it take you before you pivoted back to manufacturing?
Yeah, so I probably did that for, I'm not really sure, maybe a year, 18 months, something like that, and just realized it'd have to scale so big, and it just wasn't going to happen. So I decided to close that, and then I went job hunting. I ended up getting offered 2 jobs in a week, and they didn't come in the first week. It was after about 3 months of looking, but I ended up having 2 offers in 1 week. The one job was working for a company as an aerospace buyer. And the other job was working for ISCAR cutting tool.
Yeah.
So the buyer role meant I would have to relocate. So I chose the ISCAR role. It was an applications engineer role in the southwest of England. And you got to work from out of your home. You had a car, laptop, phone, and you basically had to support the product in the field at all their customers. And at this time, I had no desire to start my own business. I was just happy doing this. But what had happened, I was visiting all the companies, and I realized that I had a lot to offer. I did have a lot of experience. I did know what I was talking about. And, you get to meet a lot of business owners, and you realize that they're not superheroes. They're just regular people who decided one day to go for it and set up on their own. And they always had the nicest car in the car park. So for me, that was a big driving force because I love my
what kind of car do you drive?
I got a Mustang. I got a white Mustang GT with black stripes over it.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And so I love my cars, and I thought, I can do this. I felt like it was a bit of a crossroad. And I felt like because...
How old were you at the time?
37. So I'd had the experience of running my father's business with him. I'd been off the tools quite some time. I'd been office-based for quite some time. So when I went back with ISCAR Tools, had a very good training program of getting bang up to date with all the grades and all the chip formers and all the rest of it. So that kind of filled that hole in my knowledge. And then going in that role and visiting all these companies, it gave me that confidence because I'd lost my confidence working for my father, in all honesty.
Interesting.
Yeah. Because of that feeling of not being good enough, So I finally felt I had all the jigsaw pieces for.
So you lost the confidence that you were technically good enough?
Yeah, well, it seemed that my father never felt I was ready or capable to run his company. He didn't think I had the tenacity, to see it through, which was a shame because I think that's why I needed to do it, because I think deep inside me, I love business, I love manufacturing. I felt that I've got to do this to prove to myself. And, I feel like I've got all the requirements, if you like, to make it work.
I think that this is clearly, a story of serendipity, and it was meant to be this way because now you're going to get to start your own, you got to start your own company. But what's one of the most, and give me sort of a positive thing here. What's one of the most important things you learned from your father?
Oh, well, so much, because yes, he was very difficult to work with, but he installed a lot of determination, a lot of passion for the industry, a lot of business acumen. I was side by side for so many years watching him run his business through the ups and downs and, cash flow problems and all that sort of thing. And, I don't regret it for 1 minute.
Yeah. It's
made me who I am today. And I'm very proud of what I've achieved on my own. And I wouldn't have got there without going through the ranks in his business. Simple as that,
Sure.
So although he didn't have the faith in me,
yeah,
he was extremely proud when he visited my shop, and our relationship flourished.
Wow, that's great that he came to visit your shop and that he, that it was a good vibes. He was probably
Well,
very proud.
very proud. Yeah, it's yeah, it was a good moment. The only problem was he'd started to get ill, and he got Alzheimer's.
Oh no.
So
So what's going on
you
with
know,
his company now?
well, my sisters run the company. I've got two sisters in there, um, which is awesome because it's women in manufacturing, which I love. I love seeing them getting involved. So yeah, it's in good hands. They're doing well. They're doing well. But
Okay,
I would have
so yeah, go on.
is those conversations as I was, in the early years or even in the later years of growing my own business. I desperately just wanted to have a chat with my old man about something technical, some problems, or how to approach something, because he was a very good strategist. I think that when I look back and the problems we came across, he had very good foresight of how to deal with things. And he was a really good engineer, a very good engineer.
Was he a good gut thinker?
Yeah, he was ballsy. I mean, Christ, he's not afraid to write a PO out for some serious kit.
Well, clearly, if he was buying Index MS machines, yeah. I mean,
well,
yeah.
Kingsbury Machine Tools would take him to a rugby, ply him with some beer. He'd be like, "Yeah,
Do you know Richard Kingsbury? We did this deal with him last year. Sold some indexes.
Oh, really? Awesome.
Good
Richard
guy.
is such a lovely guy.
Yeah.
Him and Dad were really good buddies, not just because of the business, but they were,
I love how small a world this machine tool world is. It's incredible. It's like 1 degree of separation from us, even if we didn't know each other on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I feel a little. I understand what you're talking about. Like with my dad, it's just like sometimes he's a good gut thinker. You go around the office and he's gonna make some decision, and everybody thinks, "What are you, crazy?" And he just and he says, "No, I'm doing it." And then sometimes he just I don't know. He has a more free way of looking at things, or or just not worried about what other people are going to say or whatever. It sounds like that's something that you observed in your own father. You got to have balls.
Yeah. He was a player. He was a tough cookie. He hustled.
Are you a tough cookie?
No. He sent me to private school. I used to tell him this. I said, when he was like, "You got to go out there, you got to give them shit, you got to tell them you want it done, blah, blah, blah." I said, "Dad, if you want to behave like that, you shouldn't have sent me to private school." Rough, comprehensive. What do you expect? No, I'm a bit too nice. I'm a softie, but this day and age, being a hard ass is not.
It's not it's not as productive as it. Yeah.
No.
So okay, so tell me about, you've broken off from your dad. You've got all this knowledge inside. You're ready to start this business. What did you do first? What did you do?
So I wrote a business plan. Then I already knew what machine I wanted. I wanted a Citizen. Originally, I wanted an A32 for the bigger, rather than the A20.
Why do you want the A? Because it was cheaper.
It was, yeah. I mean, it was the entry level, yeah. So
good
they
machine.
were a good. they're great machine, and because because my father done really well out of Citizens. You know, I think they got up to about 14, 15 machines, and I'd seen how productive they were. I was like, I'm going to get a Citizen. I'd never run one, so I didn't know how to use it. So I got premises, a small 1,000 square foot unit. Found a second-hand chronograph, a second-hand compressor. The machine was second-hand.
It's just you in a 1,000 square foot building.
Just me. And it was like that way for a couple of years. And I think I booked 3 days training with Citizen. And it was the Friday, the guy was wrapping up to leave me on my own. I didn't have any orders, didn't have any work. But then I got this phone call from a local engineering company. And he said, "Oh, Howard, you set up yet?" I was like, yeah. Just finished my training. He said, "Oh, can you make this part? My machine's broken down." And so I had the print and I just showed it to the training. I said, "Can I make this?" And he went, "Yeah, you can do that. No worries, piece of cake." I set it up on the Monday, I think, and I was away. And it was just that job sort of repeated every month. It was a fairly basic. It was a hinge pin for a server cabinet, but it was just got me going. And I think that helped starting a business late. You and being in the industry, you've already made connections. I think it'd be super hard if you were 20 years old and trying to do, So that was it. I was up and running.
And now you have a whole bunch of Citizens, Mayano, and you're making parts for what industries?
Wide range. I don't pigeonhole myself in any particular industries. When I started, I went after automotive, which was a bit foolish, really, because the automotive wouldn't deal with a one-man band.
And why would you want to deal with those jokers anyways?
Well, exactly. I mean, who wants to do a PPAP and,
Your father's company was doing automotive? Is that what made you?
It was volume. It was the volume that was drawing me.
Yeah.
I mean, we make all sorts of parts. We've made parts that have got into the Battersea Power Station regeneration project, which is a building in London that's been turned into flats. We've made parts for the HS2 rail project, which is a new rail project that's going to go from north to south. We make parts for aerospace applications. We're not aerospace accredited, but through other companies. We make just a real wide range of parts. It's good because we're not heavily into. My customers don't go beyond about 20-25%.
That is good.
Yeah,
that's very good.
I did when I started out. I got about 50% with one customer, which is fairly normal when you start out because you might only have two customers, so 50% each, and then so I strategically moved away. Well, not away from them, but I had to grow the other. I had to grow the business to water that down. So that was key.
Question for you. I think I'm going to start asking this question to lots of people. Give me like a summary of a typical day in your life going to work.
Okay.
And I know some of your days are probably different than others, so I don't know, just pick one out.
Yeah. So, coming to work.
What time do you wake? Start earlier. What time do you wake up?
Oh, well, the alarm goes off about 6:30. I get out of bed at 7. I'm not great. I've never been good at. I'm not really a morning. I don't jump out of bed. That's not.
Yeah.
So I make the children's packed lunches, and usually get into the office around 8 o'clock. And the factory's already buzzing. The factory is open from 7. And I just sort of get my head together, go down to the factory, because we've got a night shift. So the first thing to see, have they left any problems from the night before? Mm-hmm. Check in with the guys on the shop floor, what they're doing today. Speak to dispatch, what we got going out today. Give them a bit of a steer. And then if they're all set, I'll come back to the office, and then it's emails, quoting. I've got some help in the office, Lynn, so she handles purchasing and administration. I'm usually working on some sort of project. At the moment, that's EOS project, and also we've got a new ERP system from Fit Factory, which is very exciting for me because I want to go paperless on the shop floor. Mm. And then a lot of it's spent in the office now, to be honest. And then I'll keep checking in with the shop floor. They'll come up with questions. They'll go at 5, and I tend to disappear about 5:30. But yeah, and we only do a 4-day week now. So
wow.
Yeah, this is something that I introduced.
So the people in the shop, how many hours a day do they work?
They're doing 9.5. So they're doing a 38-hour week over 4 days.
And they like that?
Yeah. As you know, traditionally it's been a 4.5-day week in manufacturing for a long time.
Oh, I didn't know that. Shit.
Really?
Not how it is. That's not how it is over here.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, in this country, we live to work. We don't work to live.
Well, I've been working on the balance. It was a goal I wanted for myself as I was approaching 50. I felt like when I'm 50, I want to be doing 4-day week. But I didn't feel
Maybe I'll set that goal. I think that's a good goal. I'm going to write that down.
Yeah, do it. I think...
I know my wife wants that.
Yeah.
For herself. Yeah.
The difficulty is if the business is still running at work, that's the hard bit. So I was planning it for myself. I never felt like the business could drop the Friday. But last October, when we moved premises, we were super busy, so we put on a night shift. So all of a sudden we went from 40 hours to 80 hours a week. And I was like, this is it. We don't need Friday. We don't need a half-day Friday. We're doing so many more hours.
But do the people want to work overtime? Do they want that more for pay?
No. It's like, I don't know whether it's just my team, but they've never been keen to do extra hours.
They must feel like they're getting enough money.
Yeah, well, yeah.
What is, and you can tell me what you pay your people if you want, but what are typical wages? And I know it's just really difficult to make an equivalent of because you guys are on pounds and all that. But what does a setup person make? What does an operator make? Well, and then I'll try to do a little conversion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to give you a range. So an operator might make between it depends 24 to 26k a year.
24 to 26,000 pounds. And so how much is a hamburger? And I mean, I don't know. It's so difficult to figure out what that would be in the United States.
Yeah.
How much does a house cost? Well, I mean, how can you say that? It depends where you are. But yeah.
The is I think it's around 30k.
The average salary, like across the board.
I can Google that.
This is really interesting. But
29,669.
29,000 quid is the average salary in England or
the
in the
UK.
UK?
Yeah.
Okay.
And also, it's very difficult to put. You've got an operator, and then you've got that bandwidth is quite wide, because some people might have an operator who's just barring up, just checking parts, and then you might have an operator that's changing tools and he's prepping the setups. I mean, it's, I would say entry.
Or she.
Oh, she, of course. Yeah. So probably, I don't know, 20 mid-20s to 30K for a operated band, and then there's quite a jump for skilled people, sort of up to 40,000.
Mm-hmm. And a pound in dollars is what? 1 pound is $2.
It's $1.26 to the pound.
So
Something interesting, where we were going a minute ago with we were talking about the overtime and
yeah.
What's interesting is that my guys have never been interested in doing. They're engineers. They work hard. It's a hard job. They want time with their family. They seem to be able to run their lives on basic pay. And I took a similar ethos with the business. The business, I decided, should be successful over a 40-hour week. If it's only successful because we're working all weekend and that, you got something wrong. And yes, I used to do more hours when I was doing more like 50 hours. But I think that's key, like starting out, is that, and it's also a point to people that buy brand new, really expensive machines. You've got to pay that back each month, and that has a relationship to each hour you work. And the more you get indebted, the more hours you're going to have to work. So work your numbers out. Look at your numbers and what it's.
It is so interesting talking to people about this. I mean, I've talked to people in the last 2 weeks, people who own companies, and they're like, yeah, I work 14-hour days, 7 days a week. I work 14-hour days, 6 days a week. You're only going to be able to start your business if you're working 80-hour weeks. And look, I understand that you need to put in a lot of time, but what I'm getting from you is that it's just expectation. It's like you've sort of said, all right, I'm going to run my business with 9-hour days. We're going to figure out how to run a successful business doing 9-hour days. Not, it's going to take this much time in order to be able to do it. Would you say that's pretty accurate?
Yeah. I
mean,
read
these
a lot.
people, these business owners would look at you and they're going, "What? You're working 8 to 5:30 every day and 4 days a week, like, and you have your own company. What, do you not care? What, are you crazy?" And to me, it just seems like you're just going, "This is what I do," and yeah, we make it work.
Yeah, you don't get on day one. You get there with it in mind as a destination that you want to get to. You've got to make your business work for you. If your business is a pain in the ass and it means you've got to slog your guts out each week, it's not working for you. You've got to let go of the shop floor eventually.
Yeah.
Get people do it, and then you can work on the business, and then you can get it, working for you.
So, do you feel like you're at the point where you can replace yourself?
Not quite, but that is obviously.
But you're on your way.
When I think about my companies that, and you'll know this, companies that are more viable, should we say, for purchase,
saleable,
are not centric around the owner, which is, part of the reason I'm doing this paperless shop floor is not because I want to be digital. It's because it divulges the information from the office down onto the shop floor via tablets, so they can see the live data I see. So you're sharing the knowledge, and yeah, you
and then they're going to be independent, so they're not going to have to like go to you and get a report.
got all the knowledge. They can see the materials in or
fascinating.
Or I mean, I think it's for me when I always been growing up. The people that I look up to, the guys that got businesses, and they're on the beach. It's like, I don't envy the ones that are doing 7 days a week. I want to be the guy that people say, "Wow, he's got this sorted." You know what I mean?
Yes.
And but it's a mindset. You got to build your company as though you're going to remember you're going to sell it one day, or think of it as though you're going to exit it. Don't make it reliant on you. And that's, you got to keep that in mind, and you build it up around that.
That said, you seem to really love, being in there. So you mean you have you're online, you on LinkedIn, you call yourself Mr. CNC?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I get to support the shop floor technically. I go down there and they're like, "Oh, what am I doing wrong?" And I go, "Well, you've done that. You've done that wrong." And I come back, and then so I'm still using my brain. I'm still quoting. I'm still figuring out how we're going to make parts, strategy for the company, what systems we're going to put into place. So I'm still living and breathing this business. And don't forget, I do think about the business 8 hours a week.
Yeah.
And that doesn't change whether I'm here or not.
And people might forget that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't mean I'm
So, we talked about this originally. You've compared a startup machining company with a not startup machining company. And it seems like you feel this transition. You feel like your company is matured after 10 years. So I think you probably started the explanation with me before, but what is the difference between a startup machining company and a mature machining company?
Well, it's interesting. This came up because I think I had my 6th anniversary in the company. I was like, I did a LinkedIn post and I was like, am I still a startup? At what point do I stop becoming a startup? And I was like, is that a state of mind? Or is there a number? I mean, I don't know. I mean, and I jokingly said to you, when you're a proper company, it's when you're getting taxed for everything. I now pay business rates and corporation tax, and there's no more benefits. I'm on my own. This is it. The stabilizers have been taken off because you do get a bit of support in the UK when you're a small business. So I think for me, when I moved into these new premises, we doubled our shop floor space last October, and I got some help in the office, and we doubled on headcount, and I do feel like a proper business, but it takes time. But I think it's not a bad thing. I think the mentality of a startup is your sort of survival mode. I had a friend actually, and he probably won't mind me talking about him, but you'd think by 10 years you were safe. You've done most companies fail by the year 3. Yeah. But there's also when you get to year 10 that you're more relaxed. And if you start going out buying brand new Matsuras with 200 blooming pallet changes and
I thought you were going to just say like buying like mahogany desks. You're talking about buying Matsuras.
Yeah,
yes.
Sorry, the milling companies at the moment, because my God, the level of investment is just massive to automate milling machines. But yeah, so you've still got to be. My point is, you've still got to be careful 10 years in, not to over egg it. You've got to be able to pay the bills in the quiet times as well as the boom times. And when you're buying a machine tool, it's usually a 5-year, 6-year commitment possibly. And so you don't want to over-egg it. So it's not a bad thing still having a survival mentality. There's no shame in buying a used machine. I've bought many used machines over the years, and it's done me well. I've also bought new ones, but a lot to be said for doing things.
Well, and you can tell just in the hours, your work hours, you're maturing. Your hours are slightly different. You're getting more creative and flexible with your employees. So to me,
I'm new face. I'm really enjoying running the business, and giving it direction. We're implementing the EOS system this year, which is fantastic. And
what is the EOS system?
So it's the entrepreneurial operating system. It's very popular. States, less well known in the UK. There are companies running it.
Explain that real quick.
There's in the region of 250,000 people doing this system, and basically, if you've got KPIs in your business, it's based on historical data, things that have happened in the past. The EOS system looks forward. So the first thing you do with the EOS system is you lay out your vision. Where do you want to get to? 1 year, 3 year, 10 years. You develop an organization chart. You develop a organization structure, and it gives you the stepping stones to get to your vision. And you share it with your company, and they give you simple processes to follow and help you get there. And if anybody's interested, the book Traction. Is got the idea from.
I've got it in my Audible queue.
And it's not a theory. So this book is not a theory. It's a workbook.
Oh, okay.
It tells you how to do it in the book. It's not just all hocus pocus, fugazi.
It's like a step-by-step thing.
It tells you how to do it, and people had a lot of success with it, and it's. I'm excited. I'm right at the early stages, but it's something that I've never even sat down and done a plan. Where do I want to get to? I might have think about it in my head, but. And also, what was really
you haven't done that.
No, I have now. Yeah,
you have now. I see. Yeah.
Vision, which is step one. What's the vision?
Do you literally visualize it in your brain, the way the business should look?
Yeah, you think, where do I want to get to? Where do I visualize the company being in terms of turnover, headcount, profitability, all that sort of stuff. It also works on core values. So I've never had core values before. We've now got some core values that I've come up with. So it's real juicy stuff, and I'm excited to implement it. The only thing is, which is quite funny, the system is designed for a company with department managers. So every time in the book it says, okay, get your management team together, lock yourselves away in the door behind in the office for 2 hours and thrash this out. Figure out what your goals are, your core values. And it's only me, so I have to sort of.
It's only you.
It's just me.
Well,
yeah.
Well, do you think that the next piece of becoming a mature company is to have somebody else to be in that meeting with you?
Absolutely. Yeah, I've got. I can't afford anybody at the moment, but the plan is that would be.
That's
nice
part of it.
Yeah, an operations type person / quality, so we can strengthen and implement these sort of things a bit easier. So yeah, that's the great thing actually about doing the organization chart, because you can see your weaknesses. And it's been highlighted to me that we don't really major in any sales or marketing, apart from myself doing silly posts on LinkedIn. We don't have a scheduler, and so it sort of highlights these areas. You think, oh, that's an area that I would like to, at some time in the future, have a seat. And it's good. It's
very interesting. Howard,
yeah.
Before I'm kicked out, and I feel really bad about that, to have to cut an interview a little short, but do you have anything else you'd like to say to just the people of the world, to other manufacturers, and also, give yourself a shout at the end so people know where to find you, etc., if they want to do business? But first, what do you have to say? What's on your mind besides what you've told me already?
Well, what is it's a shout out to the industry, the manufacturing industry, because I don't know if you know this, but in the UK, we're just the same. We have the same passion, the same love, and the same excitement for the industry and community as you do over in America, which we probably see a bit more of. I mean, over here, we have an association called the British Turn Parts Association, and everybody's so willing and open to share their problems and talk about how they solved it. We're all competitors at the end of the day, but we're all open. And it seems to be the same in America. I get that from.
We have the PMPA, the Precision Machine Products Association, and
right.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, about the feeling of manufacturing and machining in England. So that's great. That's great. It sounds like
it's buzzing. Yeah. And we've got our big machine tool exhibition in April, which is very exciting. Up at the Birmingham NEC, which is happens every 2 years. So we all get to meet up with the OEMs and look at machines, and everyone becomes your friend in this industry. It's just a great industry.
It is, and it's amazing what can be had online. I mean, you found this podcast from LinkedIn, I guess, and then here we are. I
mean, so youngsters coming in, just say, I guess something I thought of is that because of the video, the availability of video online, people coming into this industry, and people like myself, you can learn about anything. You can tap into somebody's 40 years of knowledge by watching these videos. It's amazing. We never had this before.
It is incredible.
It's amazing times. It really is. But
Howard, thank you so much. I really enjoyed talking to you, and I think everybody out there is going to find this to be fascinating. So I really appreciate it, and I will talk to you soon.
Yeah. Well, if anybody wants to reach out on LinkedIn, I'm on LinkedIn, and the company is sheldonprecision.co.uk. And
I highly recommend you guys link up with him on LinkedIn, because he's got great posts. He's always got cool videos.
I try and keep it fun.
Howard is a good person to know.